That is a stunning piece of wood. I would have never thought in a million years that would have ended up coming out. Don't even see it very well because it's so shiny, the light's reflecting off of it. But I took that bottom. So this is the project. I'm calling it my prehistoric bowl, as you can see from the title. The reason being is because it's old, chunky and rough around the edges, just like me. So, sticky and horrible. So yeah, yeah, nothing else to say really. It's failed. No good. So I'll see you guys next week. Fresh new project, one that works. And take care. Speak to you soon, and bye for now. Afternoon, how the devil are you all? Hope you're all well, and thank you very much for coming over and joining me in the workshop for another Sunday lunchtime live. Here we are again, hashtag week. Hashtag week has always been a great thing that we brought in, or must be a couple of years ago now, and we've had some amazing pieces sent over, and it's all about getting you guys in the workshop, turning something that you wouldn't normally turn, having a go at something you wouldn't normally having a go at, and also letting your imagination run wild, which is the best part of it all. So this month's hashtag is a pot, lidded pot with a finial. Now how you want to interpretate it, whether you want to paint it, color it, natural, however you want to do it, it's your discretion. As always, it's about your interpretation to this piece. But this is one I did quite a while ago. This one's out of resin with just a basic lidded top, which is sprayed black with a little bit of bronze embellishing wax. So nothing high tech, nothing too flash, but very effective. So I'm not going to do another resin one. I'm going to do a wooden one. I'm on my own today, so I'm going to try a little bit of different format. I'm going to try and read the chat and describe what I'm going to do. So it's a bit more of a lesson rather than, what would you say? A demo. Well, it is a demo, but anyway, it's what it is. So I'm going to try a little bit of a format. So if I do miss your questions, please apologize. I apologize now, but I will scroll through every now and again just to catch up and see what's going on the live. As always, if there's a question, please put a Q in front of it so then I know it's a question. But I have got it over on the monitor, so hopefully I'm going to catch everybody's questions. But like I say, just be patient with me. So something a little bit different today, and we will see what happens. So I'm going to go over to the lathe. I've got a piece of spalted on the lathe that we're going to try and get a nice shape for a pot. I've got a piece of ash here for the lid, and I've got a piece of cherry for the finial. Whether I colour them, depending on how they look, whether I leave them natural, I'm not 100% sure yet, but I'm definitely going to leave the base of the pot natural because it's a nice piece of spalted wood. It's a little bit pucky in one place, but I'm hoping I'm going to be able to turn that away and get rid of that. I'll put it on the bottom corner, so hopefully when we create our shape of our pot, we're going to actually turn that bit out, but we will see. So let's go over to the lathe and see what we've got. Here we is. It's a piece of spalted, some nice spalt in it, as you can see. The pucky bit is here. Like I say, I'm hoping we can turn it. As you can see, that's really soft there, so I'm hoping we can turn that bit out. but the piece itself is only, have a look, so it's 6 inches long, or 150 mil long, by around about 100 millimeters or 4 inches square. So we're obviously going to lose a little bit of it for our tenon for holding to our chuck. So we're going to lose, so it's going to end up about 80 millimeters high, I would imagine, by the time we actually lose a little bit off the end of it. So I will get a smock on, and then when I get a smock on, I'll just quickly welcome the people who I see in the chat quickly, and then we will start the live. So scroll up to the top. I think Colin was the first in, so welcome Colin. Sid repurposing, Ruby Claire, Norman Greenwell, Pete from Twisted Trees. Hello Pete. Roy's the boy. Len's Handcraft. Michael McEwen. Sid Person's copy of me. Couple Owls Wood Turning. Dr. Bob. Todd at Glen Cove Wood Turning. Clint the Wood Dancer. Let's just keep scrolling down. God, you boys can talk. Lucy Bundy Rowe. Hi, Lucy. Barry's Wood Creation. Hi, Barry. Hope you are well. Colin Izzard. Susie the Swiss Word Turner. Hi, Susie. Chris Dodds. Hi, Chris. Andy the Valley Wood Turner. Hi, Andy. My phone's going absolutely mental. Who else we got in? Said Glenn, Dr. Bob. Chats. Every time you guys put a comment in, the chat's going mad. Wivey Woodshed. Terry Bartlett. David J. Heath. The Guildford Carpenter. Good afternoon. Brent Beecroft. Hi, Brent. I think Brian at Hartwood. Hi, Brian. How you doing? The Professor. Hi. Rex B. If you add wood hardener to the punky bit, can it still be? I don't know, because some wood hardeners are like a resin, so obviously the colour won't penetrate the resin, so I'm not sure about that one. And I think that is everybody. If I've missed anybody, I do apologise. Yeah, finial, yeah, I'm going to try, Barry. I've actually got one prepared just in case. I found one the other day laying around, rolling around the bench, so anyway, welcome everybody. Hope I haven't missed anybody. If I have, I do apologise, but chuck your name in and then we will welcome you. As always, like I said, just please put Q in front of your questions so we know it's a question, so I can just keep looking up and having a look at the chat and see what happens. Right, so going to round this off first, get this round. So it's between centres. I've centred both centres between my stub and my live centre, and we're going to turn it round. I'm going to get it just round, so it gives me the maximum opportunity to get the shape that I want, and then we can go from there. It's 4 inches square, so I should end up with a round around about 4 inches. So then we can decide. Oh, Wurzel the Wood Butcher. I apologise, Wurzel. Welcome. We can get it round, and then we can decide what shape we're going to do. So as always, because it's between centres, we're going to make sure everything's locked up tight. We're going to make sure it's tight between our centres. We're going to turn the speed down on the lathe, and we're going to stand to one side. And then we're going to turn the lathe on and gradually ramp up our speed. Well, it helps, always helps if you turn the lathe on at the power supply as well, always. Hi, Alan, how are you? The good lady's not here today. She's gone out with daughter number one to a garden centre. So, peace and quiet. So, right, turn the lathe on. We're going to turn the speed up slowly just to gradually let it creep up. Standing to one side, so if the piece does come out, it's not going to hit us in the face. And we're just going to ramp it up to a speed. And then we're going to start removing these corners. So I'm going to start, you don't start on the end, you start from the middle and work your way out. So we're just going to gradually work away. We're going to start the other way. just going to move a tool coast a little bit closer. So we're just going to move a little bit closer. So we're going to do that again. Like I said, I just want to get it just round. I don't think it's still quite round because you can feel it chattering. Hi Michelle, how are you? So we've still got a little tiny bit to go, still flat there. And you can see where the pucky bit is there. Like I said, hopefully we're going to turn that out. So we've just got a little bit more take off of there. So we are now round. We've still got that punky bit there. So what I'm going to do, I think, is because we've got that punky bit there, can I get a good tenon on that end with the punky bit in it? But we will see. So I'm now going to create a tenon on there. So I've got a 10mm tool. Just going to cut through that. We've just got a tenon on the end there. So I think we've gone through, or maybe we have a little bit of the punkiness there. But I think I'm just going to take that down a little tiny bit more. Just flatten it off to start with. So we've got a tenon, which is going to give us our mounting point within the chuck. The piece of wood is a piece of, I think it's a piece of spalted ash. I'm not 100% sure, but I could be wrong. But it just had spalted written on it. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure someone out there could tell us what it is. So now we can get a good secure fixing in the chuck. And we've got a good size 10 in there. As you can see, the 10 is the right size because you can see that we've got those nice little gaps. Got those nice little gap between our tenon and our chuck. Or yeah, our tenon and our chuck. So when we nip this up now, we're going to end up with that perfect gap. So we know we've got a good size tenon. If you have a tenon that's too big, it won't hold properly. You only be held on certain contact points of your chuck, and you really want to be held as secure as you can on your chuck. So the idea is to get the more accurate size of tenon you can get, the better. Hi Donna, how are you? Right, so shape. We're going to go to shape. I'm going to go for a similar shape to what I did when I created this, just a basic curved shape with a little bit of a rounded top. I'm going to inset the lid the same as I have this one. So I'm going to put a little bit of a recess in it with a lid, a little bit of an undercut for when I'm hollowing out. But that's the similar principle I'm going to go for. So we can afford to lose a bit of this because as you can see, that's quite a bit shorter. So we can come back here, which means we get rid of that nasty punky bit on the end there. So we're going to get a pencil. Going to put a mark where the punky bit is, which is about there. So that's where I'm going to come up to. I'm going to put a cut line in there just so I know that's where I want to come up to. So nice thin parting tool. Remove some of that. So that'll be where I want to come up to. And now we can start creating our shape that we want. I'm not going to worry too much about the... No, actually, do I do the top first? I suppose we'll just flatten this off so we get a nice line to go to. So remember, when you're using your parting tool, you're going up at an angle. You're not... I should put it on an end cam, which helps that. You'll see with this one. When you're doing your parting tool, you're going up at an angle, then coming down. If you go in straight, you'll end up scraping, which you don't want. You want to be cutting. So you want to be going in at an angle, and then as you're coming in, decrease, lift the handle slightly as you come in a little bit. So you're always keeping the ride on the top of the piece of wood. Move them out of the way before I knock them. Right, so we're flattened off the top. Let's get some shape. So I'll use the bowl gouge to start with, just to give me some rough shape, and then we'll go to the spindle gouge just to finish it off. So let's get some rough shape. Get rid of some of this here. Like I said, I want a similar shape to what I had. And as always, it's your definition of the shape. Hi Joe, how are you? So I can afford to lose a bit more of this top. So I'm just going to concentrate on getting the shape that I desire. So we're going to part that off somewhere here. And I think we're going to part it off somewhere here. I actually could make the lid out of that bit, couldn't I? That's all the same. Right, so let's start getting a little bit of shape. So we'll bring in the spindle gouge. Just start getting a little bit of shape. So just going to curve this round a little bit more. And then we're just going to start a nice gracious curve around that edge. Just gently rubbing the bevel, not pushing on it hard. Just gently rubbing on it, just so it's burnishing that edge just a little tiny bit. So you should see just a little bit of a sheen. We'll get a nice smooth finish on there. It's a nice bit of wood, that's a beautiful bit of wood. So got a nice elegant shape there. Got a little bit of a ridge in there that we've got to get rid of. So let's just remove a little bit of this. We'll just put a little rolled edge on there. Just so it flows into the top of our pot. Because what I want to do is I want the lid and the vase, or the pot should I say, to sort of all flow into one. So I think what I'll do is actually use the same bit of wood for the lid as well. So in that case, I'm going to turn this off, this end bit. If I put it on camera so you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this bit off here, and I'm going to create a little tiny tenon in there that I can use for the SC2 chuck, and then we can turn that on the SC2 chuck to fit the top of our pot. So let's remove the tailstock, making sure that our chuck is still tight, and then we can part that bit off, and it'd be nice that we can use the same bit of wood for the lid as the, but you can see it's a little bit pucky there, or punky should we say, not punky, pucky. So we'll just take that off. We'll just flatten that out. As I come to the middle, just close the flute a little bit and just pop out that center. Yeah, it's a little bit there, it's a little bit soft there. I think we'll take a little bit, take a little bit more off. Let's just take a little bit more off so we can get to the good stuff. We're just going to take another light pass off of there. Good afternoon, Terence. Good afternoon, Glyn. How are you both? Right, so we need to measure now for our SC2 chuck. What size we want. So we want the bare minimum we can get. So let's close the chuck up and see what we can get. So I think it's around about 40, 41 mil, 42 mil, something like that. So we'll find our center. And then we'll do 20 mil. So that's the bare minimum we can get away with, which is, we don't want a huge, we only want a small one. So just run a parting tool in there just to clean that out. Now it's on end grain, so need to go careful. So we'll just check. Hi Lewis, how you doing? We'll just check that, see if that fits. A bit too small, so let's go a little bit bigger. So we'll chuck that. So we'll close it up. See if we can grab that, which we can. So that's good. It's not a very deep tenon. Perhaps to make it a little bit deeper. Just give us a little bit more security when we're grabbing that. So let's make that a mil or so deeper. And then we'll just get a little tiny skew and just put a little tiny dovetail on that, just to get it out of the way first. Just give us a little bit of more grab and power on there. So we'll just remove that little nub out the middle there. All right, so that's our tenon. So we've got our tenon for our bottom of our lid. So we could sand that now. So we'll just quickly sand that up so that we haven't really got to worry about it once. My mortises are normally anywhere between 3 and 5 mil deep. I have done that thinner ones, but it depends on the thickness of your bit. So that's like what's 6 mils a quarter in it. So a quarter of an inch or an eighth of an inch. Eighth of an inch is about 3.175. So anywhere between an eighth and a quarter is perfect. Depending on the size of the bowl you're turning, obviously. You don't want to be turning a massive bowl on a quarter inch, on a little tiny quarter inch tenon. Or sorry, 3/8, an eighth tenon. So I'm just going to quickly sand that up to 240. So last one, 240. So 240 grit, which is plenty enough to do the inside of that. So we're going to part that off now. So we'll get rid of that lid, and then we'll be able to carry on with the top of our bowl. So let's put you back on the overhead. Yeah, if you've got a hard piece of wood, then obviously your tenon hasn't got all, your mortise hasn't got to be quite as deep, but softer wood, you really need a bit more security. So I'm putting a relief cut either side of that. So what I'm doing is I'm doing the cut, relief cut, cut, relief cut, and then that gives me a little bit of room either side of the piece. That is really soft, that is. So let's just get this edge curved round. So we can now decide how big we want our lid. So I think I'm going to bring the lid out to roughly where that's actually finished. Move the tailstock out of the way. Actually, I think you might be better off on this camera, actually. That's better. So we're just going to back hollow with a spindle gouge most of this, and then we'll get to a stage where we then start bringing in the hollowing tool or something better to clean the inside out. It's not going to take a lot of hollowing out because it's quite soft. The black fungus line. Or this line here, Glenn. Or this line here. Right, so I don't want to go too deep in there, but obviously deep enough. So we're going to just keep checking it and see what happens. Do you want to borrow the pro hollower? I've actually got my own hollower now, Glenn, not a pro hollower, the MIDI one, I think it's called. Is it the MIDI one? Let's have a look. Yeah, mid-size easy wood hollower #1. I could use that on it, couldn't I? But I'm not going to. It's still in the box. I don't want to break it out of the box. It'd be worth more money in the box. Right, so I'm going to use the Simon Hope carbide. So basically, all I'm doing to start with is just remove as much material as I can, and then we can start refining the inside once we've removed all the material we want to remove. Right, so let's have a look at that. Stop that. Let's have a look at that. So we're still quite thick. We are about 2/3 of the way down, so we've still got quite a little way to go. So we'll take a little bit more at the bottom. If you're not comfortable through hollowing like this, then you could You don't have to hollow it all the way out. You could cut it out with a forcening a bit first and then just finish it off. But I like doing it like this because it's a bit of practice, and we all need the practice. So we're about the right depth. I just need to clean the bottom edge out now. Let's have a look at there. Don't want to keep going too thin. Don't want to go too thin. So I'll get the calipers on it and just check it with the calipers. I should imagine we've still got quite a lot. So don't know if you can see that. I turn the camera around. So you can see there. This is how thick my wall is. So what's that? 6-7 mil. And it's getting a bit thicker as I come to the top here because I can't quite get in there with that tool. So we'll take a couple of millimeters more out of the bottom, and then we'll get a swan neck and just come up on that inside. I don't want to go much thinner than about 3 or 4 mil. So we'll move that camera back round. So we'll just take a little bit more out of there. Until I get to about there, I can't get up any higher because of the way the tool's sitting. What we'll do is we'll check that, and then we'll just get a swan neck just to get in this area around this corner to try and keep it the same thickness. So we're down there, round about 5 mil there now. So just a little bit more. Now I'm doing light passes now because I don't want to do too much damage on the inside of it. So we're doing nice light passes just to take little fine coats off of it. I'm just going to check that. Nice. It's about 3.5, 4 mil thick, so I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do now is I can't get no higher than where it is here. So I'm just going to finish that off, and there's a little bit of a hump in there. So we're just going to try and just finish that off. Here the hump. And then we can concentrate on doing the top half. Yep, that's much better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change over to this tool, which is the Simon Hope again, but it's a swan neck, just to get me round that corner. Move my tool rest back because we need to keep it on this part of the bar, and there we're going to be too close, you see, so we're just going to move it back a little bit further. And we're just going to run it around that corner. And all we're doing is just removing that thick bit on that corner. Check that. So we've still got a little bit more meat on this corner. I know we're not going to get the same shape as that, but we could perhaps get it a little bit better than that. So we're just going to bring that up that corner up a little bit more. That's nice. Nice and smooth on the inside, nice and flat. So we've got a nice shape in there, nice. See how thin it is now. So we've got a nice constant shape or thickness of around about, don't know if you can see that, around about this much. That's our wall thickness. What's that, 3.5 mil, something like that? And that's constant all the way through, look. So that's what we wanted. So we've got a nice wall thickness on there. So I put that back on there. So we can clean all that muck out of there now. So all we've got to do is sand that. It's actually a nice finish in there for a bit of punky old wood. So I actually like that small opening. So I might refine that as my opening. I've got enough meat here to sort of concave this top in a little bit so it goes in and then back out again. That's what I might do. Let's get rid of that. We don't need that no more. So what I'll do is I'll get a small spindle gouge, and I think I'm just going to bring this edge over in, and then just ride it back up to give me my input for my lid. So we're just going to ride that over. So I'm gently going to take that in a little bit. Like so, and we're going to round that off. So we've got a little bit of definition there. So that's coming, so slightly dipping in, and then that's coming back out again. And then we need to just create our line where we're going to put our lid. So I think we'll just use a parting tool to put that in there. So we'll bring that back here somewhere. Like so, that'll be our lid line. We can lose a little bit of that thickness. We don't want all that thickness really, just round it off a little tiny bit. And what we will do is we'll just bring our tool in the back of that and just round that back edge off. Like so. Just gives that a little bit softer look on the eye, so it doesn't look like us just rounded up in there. So what we'll do is we just round this over a little tiny bit, and then just feather that in. So just going to round it over a little tiny bit, and then our lid, we'll try and get our lid to feather into that. Right, so I think we're ready to sand and seal. Like I said, I'm going to leave it natural. Just put a bit better line in here. That'll be our parting line. So we'll just remove some of this waste off of here. Like that, and we can get that sanded up. Slow lay down, get that sanded. What are we going for? So, traction on. So as always, this is all about your interpretation on what shape, what, you know, how you want to do it. But I look forward to seeing all your ideas. So I'm just going to I'm going to sand up the outside, and then I'll then concentrate on the top. Sand up to 240 grit, and then we will finish it off with Yorkshire grit because we're not going to colour it, we're going to leave it natural. So that's up to 240, so we're bringing some Abranet to do the top half. Abranet always sticks together. A bit of 120 to start with. Turn it down a little tiny bit. Because if you get the Abranet too hot, that'll just melt, and then that won't be no good to man or beast, as they say. So we're just going to go just on the inside of that. Actually need to sand the inside of that, really. Like I said, it's a good finish, but not good enough. So I'll get my magic stick out. Hi Malcolm, how are you? So I'll get my magic stick out, and we'll sand that up. Just get the inside with my finger. I don't want to be putting my finger all the way down there though, but I don't mind doing just the inside. And I'll blow out all the dust. Remember, when you're sanding, make sure you remove all the dust from the previous grit, because if not, it just causes issue with the next grit. So a bit of 120. So a bit of 120. looking better. Hand sand that bit in there a little bit. To be careful here because I'm sanding away and I'm going to take a little bit more for that rim, I think, because I'm getting carried away with sanding away there and taking some of our lip away. But we've got plenty of meat, we can come back a little bit, so it's not a major issue, I don't think. Alright, so 240. Again, I'm only going to go up to 240 because we're going to Yorkshire grit it. We're not going to do the inside Yorkshire grit, but right, so we're going to blow that out. That's all sanded up to 240 grit now. We just need to put a little more tram line in there because I've taken a little bit of that out too much, so we haven't really got a lot for our lid to sit on. So we'll just put another little tram line in there just to finish it off. That's it, that'll be enough. We'll just remove just a little bit out of shape, that is, so let's just remove. That's better. Got a nice even line now. That's the only trouble when you've got a little bit of spalted wood. You sometimes get a little bit out of shape because soft parts, hard parts. You sand away the soft parts quicker than you do the hard parts, so it don't always look quite right. But I'm happy with that, so let's just blow that out. Let's get sand and sealed. Lovely bit of timber that is. So you can't really see it with that. It's a bit too bright, I think. There we go, that's a bit better. Right, so let's get some sand and sealer on that. Move that light back there, that might help a little bit. There you go. That's a bit better. Right, so like I said, I sanded up to 240 grit. So we're going to put some sand and sealer on it, and then we'll use Yorkshire grit to finish it. Give it a nice soaking of sand and sealer because it's a bit punky anyway. So we'll make sure we seal it right. Just really soaking into that. See if we can get a, what do we want? Back and over, that's the one we want. That's the one we're looking for. Alright, so let's get that in there. Let's get a good soaking of this on there. Like I say, that's really, really soaking it up. It's really thirsty bit of wood. Soak it on the inside, slap it about, run all around. A good seal on the inside as well as the outside. Like I said, we're not going to actually sand. I'm not going to Yorkshire grit the inside, but I will spend a bit of time on the outside. Spalton's really come out on that now. So we're just going to denib that. So we'll just let that dry for a few seconds, and then we'll denib the outside, then we'll give it another coat, and then we can get it Yorkshire gritted up. So I'm just going to denib that quickly. Only reason I'm denibbing it is because I want to give it another coat of sand and sealer. Being Yorkshire grit, you don't really need to give it a denib, but I want to give it a second coat of sand and sealer, and I want it to really get into that grain. Just denib the inside. So, all right, let's give it another coat of sand and sealer. Hey, Robert. I had them for ages. I had the split screens for ages, but don't really use them. I should use them a lot more, really, because you get better, you get different vantage points you can see from both angles, so it makes much more sense, really. Right, get rid of that. So see the grain come out on that now. Really, really nice piece of wood that is. Right, so let's get the Yorkshire grit out. So Yorkshire grit original takes us from 240 grit up to 1,000 grit if applied correctly. So make sure you spend a bit of time on it. Make sure you work it in really well. So we want a liberal amount on our piece, working it all in before the piece is moving. And then we want to start our lathe around about 500 RPM. And gradually start working it in. Don't need to apply loads of pressure. Let the abrasive paste do exactly what it's designed to do. Just gently keep moving your tissue about to work in that Yorkshire grit. Just take that just inside that lid edge. So we're going to spend 3 or 4 minutes working this in. And then as we feel the abrasive paste to break down, we will gently increase the lathe so that we get the maximum sanding experience we can out of the Yorkshire grit. So we're going to speed up a little tiny bit. Keep working that paste in. You need to put plenty on because if not that'll dry out and then that won't work properly, so you need to spend the time just working that in. And this should take us up to around about 1,000 grit finish, ready for our finish, whether it be a wax or whatever you want to put over the top of it. She's normally asleep by now, Chris. It's nice to have the peace and quiet, not having the talking in your ear. It's been a long while since I've done a demonstration with no airworms. It's quite nice now and again to have just a quiet workshop while you're on the live with you guys. Right, so speed up a little bit more. Final bit. So again, we're not applying no pressure. We're just relying on the friction between the Yorkshire grit and the tissue to do all the work. Hi Heather, how are you? Nice to see you over. Thanks for coming over. So as always, you can send your pictures to me from 2 weeks from last Friday, which will be, I will have a look in a second. So what was last Friday? Last Friday was the 4th. So it will be the 18th. Does that sound about right? Right, so that's all polished in. I doubt that, Roy. She won't be watching. She'll be eating lunch somewhere by now, I would imagine. So what we're going to do now is get a clean piece of tissue and we're just going to buff it all off. So we're looking to get the tissue off clean. Then we know that all the beeswax has been removed. So there we go. Now we have a piece that's sanded up to 1000 grit, ready for our finish. So Yorkshire grit is not a finish, it's an abrasive paste, so we need to put a wax or something over the top of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some microcrystalline over the top of that, Hampshire Sheen microcrystalline. So you can see from the tin, microcrystalline. We're going to put a nice generous coat over, a couple of coats. Thank you, Chris. So don't need to slur loads of wax over it. Less is more, as they say. Making sure we get a nice coverage just on the inside of the lid. I'm not going to do the inside of the pot, just on the inside of the lid where the lid's going to go. We're going to work that in. We're going to get a clean bit of tissue. Just a little bit of sunburn. Oh no, you don't want that, ever. So again, no pressure. Just let the tissue roll over it. If you put too much pressure on the wax, you're just going to burnish off the wax, and then you'll end up wasting what you've just put on. So we're going to do a couple of free coats of this because I think it's going to take a little bit to get a polish on it. So ideally you want to give it a coat, then leave it a little bit, then give it another coat, and keep going like that until you got it white. But we're not going to do that because obviously we're on a live and you don't want to see me sit there drinking a cup of coffee while I'm waiting wax to dry. Bad enough watching paint dry, let alone wax. So we're going to get a clean bit of tissue, give it a few seconds for the solvents to evaporate, and then we're just going to gently buff it up again. I'm wondering whether I should do the lid a contrasting colour, or whether I should do it natural and do the finial a contrasting colour. So I'm just going to do one more coat and that'll be it. The shine is coming slowly, but I think because of the wood we could be fighting a losing battle. And to be honest, I don't think we want it really shiny because I think that'll take something away from the actual pattern in the wood. So let's just gently buff that up. I'm just going to grab a piece of safety cloth and just vinyl polish that. So that's the bottom of our pot. So what I need to do now is just part that off. We're just going to part that off and hopefully not drop it. So again, I'm doing a relief cut, then a cut, then a relief cut, a cut. Like so, it's a bit punky on the bottom there, but hopefully we can sand that up. So get rid of that. Right, we need to change over to this S2 chuck now, so we can put our bit of wood in for our lid. So put that over there out of the way. So little tiny S2 chuck, great little chuck for little small stuff like this. So this was our lid. So we're just gonna put that, if I can find the chuck key, in there. Not going to nip it up too tight. Don't need to nip it up really tight. So we're just going to get that round and to the right size, and then we can shape what we want. So the size we require is, we've got a pair of calipers here, vernier, whatever you want to call it. So the size we require is from there to there. It's 51 millimeters. So let's just remove some of this waste. Actually, put you on that camera. Just dust, look at the dust. But bearing in mind that our tenon was 42 millimeters, we only want about 4 millimeters either side. So we've got a little bit more down to go. Alright, so that's the size we want. So we need that size all the way through. And now we need to shape it. So let's get a spindle gouge and start shaping this. I wanted to come from the depth of what my whoops. That's the trouble with punky wood. It's just broke out the side of the tenon. So, take two. Let's get back on. We've got a piece of ash here. Let's get rid of this. Oops. Exactly right, Colin. That's the trouble when you use wood that's punky. So soft. Just broke off the edge of the tenon. I mean mortise. So this one's got a bit of tenon. This has got a tenon on it. So we'll hold it with the tenon. Then we'll get our size and shape, and then we'll just part it off, which will be the outside. So let's get this turned down to the size we want. So around about 51 millimeters. Yeah, time for a redesign. Always time for a redesign, isn't there? Always. So I'm going to shampoo that. And when we get the desired thickness we want, or width we want, we can then come up to it. Right, so we want a little bit more off of that. Very nice, Roy. I like it. It's nice. The only trouble is it does exactly the same as my other lathe. I was hoping it was going to improve my turning, but it didn't work. So it just proves it's not the lathe. The lathe doesn't make a difference. It's the person. Right, so that's the right width we want. That is perfect. So that's what we want. So let's clean this edge up here. So we get a nice smooth edge on there. I'll give that a little bit of an undercut just to give it a little bit of a... Looks like we actually thought about it. So now we need to just flatten that out. I think I'm going to have to drill a hole all the way through it to get my finial on, because obviously I'm doing it from the back now. So actually, I suppose I could. I suppose I could do it. I suppose I could do it this way. I suppose I could do it this way if we get the right size. So we don't want to come no smaller than that. That's the right size all the way through. So let's turn this as our top. So, and then we'll part it off at the back as the back. So let's get rid of that. So change your plan again. So we'll round that off. So what happened? The question is, where did, here it is. Here's the finial I found the other day. So I think I'm going to use this finial in the top there. One I made earlier, Blue Peter. Reason being, it's 20 past 2 now, so we don't want to run on forever. So we're going to use that finial. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure that and drill a hole down the center for that. So that finial needs to be 9mm for that. So let's get this out of the way. Just drill a 9mm hole down the center of that. You lot told me that if I bought a better lathe with reverse, my turning would improve, and you lied to me. You really you lied to me. Right, 9mm, 9mm. What we got? 8.5, 9. Some people just got no hope. That's the trouble. Right, so this doesn't need to go in very deep. It only needs to go in 5mm, something like that. So just wind this in. Just check that, make sure it's deep enough. Perfect. Perfecto. So we just need to mark where we're going to part that now. Oh, you're back. What? If you want to come on, you can come on. Oh, have you now? All right, love you. Right, so we're just going to mark that where we're going to part it. So we need to just take a little bit more off of there. I want that just to show on that line there. I want that just to show as it comes into where that comes in. So I'm just going to move that in a little bit further. I need to take just a little tiny bit more off of that. So that much, that's as much as I want off of it. So I'm slightly undercutting it. Not going to go all the way through. That's as far as I'm going to go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sand that. I'm just going to quickly sand that. We'll just sand it from what finishes it. It's got a fairly good finish on it now. So we'll go from 180 if I can find it. No, that's near enough. 120. Put some extraction on. Just gently sand this. I may paint this black actually. Yeah, it'll look quite nice black. That'll match the spalten. So I'm not going to do too much on the edge because if I do that, it'll be too loose. I'm just going to go onto there. So 8, 18, 240. Two 320. $400. So that's up to 400. So let's just give that a little bit of sand and sealer. So get my board back. Go A little bit of sand and sealer just to seal that before we give it a coat of paint. I think we'll paint that black. So I think I'll stick the finial in it and paint the finial and that black. I think that'll look quite nice with both of them black. So just get a little bit of super glue and stick that in. So we'll use a bit of brown super glue. So just a little tiny bit. Get a bit of activate and just spray on that. Always makes me laugh. I use super glue nearly every day of the week. As soon as I use it, on a live, it never works. Never sticks. Question, Steve. The finial is no good. You need to turn another one at least 10 inches long. Okay, Barry, I'll try my best. That's all I'm going to say on that comment. I will try my best. I'm not saying when, but I will try my best. Right, so that's got a little bit of wax on there. So I'm just going to get a bit of 400. I'm just gently going to turn that bit of wax off that. Yeah, Brian, you missed me turning the finial with a skew. What was you doing on? See, you'd paid attention. Right. Right, let's just denib that. You lot are tit-tattlers, I tell you. Right, so let's spray that black, Ebenezer lacquer. Get the extraction on. Cover my lathe up because I don't want paint all over my lathe. Extraction on. What's this pick on Steve? There you come to mention it, Chris. You lot don't want to see me turn a spindle. Finial. I don't want to. What more do you want? Blood? Oh, that'd be nice. A jig to cut finials. That'd be awesome. Right, that's dry. So that's dry. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to... Oh, is it dry? Yeah, I think so. Just going to put some embellishing wax over that just to enhance that black. So let's go for... Oh, let's go for an unusual colour. Let's go for purple. Did we do purple? No, purple's a bit extreme, isn't it? Let's try bronze again. I like the bronze. It's quite nice on the black. See you, pup. See ya. No, don't run around the floor. You're covered in. You get covered in. Right, love you. See you later, mate. Oh, kiss, kiss. Love you. See you later, mate. Right, so going to use some bronze embellishing wax on this. Not going to put it on your finial. Well, I'm going to try not to get it on the finial. Just going to put it on the actual lid. Just really to enhance that grain on there, really. Just so it gives it a little bit more character. Plum, plum. Right, so we're just going to buff that off. I would like to have left that embellishing wax, not embellishing wax, the ebonizer lacquer a little bit longer really to cure before I started doing this, but hopefully that'll be okay. There we go, just a little bit of bronze in that grain just to enhance that a little tiny bit. So now we need to part that off, get that off of our wood. So we're going to use a narrow parting tool just to get rid of that. And like I said earlier, I'm actually doing a relief cut on the back. So it's a bit. Come on, go for it. Go, 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 go. That's it. So I'll take this out of our chuck. So I'll put that over to one side, move that towel. Bring this chuck back so we can put a sanding pad in there. So we just got to sand the bottom of our pot, and we've got to sand the bottom of our lid, and then we'll be done. So let's start off with a 80 grit just to get rid of all the nastiness, and then we'll gradually work. Oh, that's not very tight, so we'll work up to a fine finish. That's why it's not very tight, Stephen, because it's not done up properly. What's going on there? Never normally wobbles like that. It's better. All right, so just gently going to remove this little stub in the middle. Like I say, I would have really liked to have left this dry a little bit more, really. I'm going to let that. I've sanded that down to what so it's acceptable, but I'm going to wait till that to dry properly, and then I'm going to sand that again because the paint on the finial is still tacky, and I don't want to ruin the paint on it. So I'll let it dry properly, and then I'll do it, finish it properly. Pucky bit in the middle there. Punky bit right there. So we may have to put some sand and sealer in that and let it harden up a little bit. So I'm going to leave that at that, and then I'll put a bit of sand and sealer in there to harden it up. But that's enough to show you what I'm looking for. Let's just wipe that. Put the lid on it. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Right, let's find something to stand it on. What we got to stand it on? This little pot. So we'll put that on that. We'll then put it on that camera. Move that down. Wrong button. It's a bit Right, isn't it? Oh, that's better. There you go. Turn the light off helps. So there's my lidded pot with a finial. Like I say, I will sand that. This paint's still a bit tacky, so I can feel it sticky. But once that's dry, I will finish that, and I will put some sand and sealer in there just to harden it up, and I will finish sanding that. But other than that, there is my lidded pot with a finial. So hopefully, um, you guys um, will have a bit of fun doing it. Hopefully, that's what hashtag's all about. It's about you guys having a little bit of fun, getting in your workshops, turning something that you wouldn't normally turn, and being experimental. Being experimental. It's about different shapes. I mean, I know I said I wanted to go for a shape similar to what I had before, but that's much bulbous on the top. Little tiny hole in the top, which actually I quite like. It's got that nice little hole in the middle. Totally different to that one. That's quite close to the rim. So two different styles of pot. That lid fits much better than that one. That's a nice close fit, hardly any movement. Well, there's no movement at all. This one was a little bit. I cut the lid a little bit too thin on that one, or a little bit too narrow, shall I say? But still okay. Still okay. Still works. But so yeah. Anyway, that's this month's hashtag week that runs for 2 weeks. So let's bring that back on camera. Let's take that, turn them off, and back on camera. So there we go. Nice little lidded pot. So that really flows nicely. I don't know if you can see that with the camera. That sort of really flows nice. That sort of just comes to the top of that rim and then flows up nicely um, into that lid, and then the lid just sort of gently flows into the finial. Um, if I was going to turn a finial, I was just going to do a straight finial with a slope on the top because I think that's quite a nice shape. I'm not into all these fancy finials, but like I said, time was running on, and I found that yesterday just in case. So yeah, it is what it is. But like I say, it's nice inside, all nicely cleaned out and sanded. It's up to 240 on the inside. We could have Yorkshire gridded it if we wanted to, but I didn't see the point. And yeah, it's a nice little pot. I like that. Very nice. Nice bit of wood as well. Nice bit of spalted in there as well. Very nice. Very nice indeed. Right, so um, I will get some pictures of it up and put it on social media to give some ideas. Obviously, it's your interpretation as always. So I look forward to seeing what style you come up with, what shape you come up with, how you color it, how you finish it. And like I just said, it's all about your interpretation. So when you have done your piece and you would like to send me some pictures, please send them to skkrafts at btinternet.com. If you can get the pictures over to, has that gone in right or not? No, look, I can't even put my own email in. skkrafts at btinternet.com. That's better. That's more like it. So yeah, if you if you can take your pictures and send them over to me by the 18th, Friday the 18th of, well, we're in August. Oh my God, it's August already. Then I will do a montage and then display them on the 20th, Sunday the 20th, and we'll be able to see everybody's amazing pieces that they have took the time and effort to do to join us all in participation of the hashtag week, which is very much appreciated, you guys. You guys always make it worthwhile doing. Like I've always said, if it if you guys didn't take part, there was no point in doing it. So you guys take part, it makes it worthwhile doing. So let's see what you guys come up with. So other than that, Terry, the temporary turner, is on um, this evening. I don't know if it's 7:30 past. I believe he put his link in there. Let's see if I can find it and stick Terry's link up there. So you guys have got it. Let's have a look. YouTube. Terry Hickington Arts. we go. Terry at Heckington Arts. So his live tonight is, the link is, here we go, wood turning, hashtag wood turning project. So copy that link. So this is Terry's link for this evening. So please come over and join Terry tonight. I was going to see what time it was actually, wasn't I? So it's at 7 p.m. So Terry will be live at 7 p.m. So please come over and join Terry. He will be doing the hashtag week as well. So another idea of different shapes, different colors, blah, blah, blah. No Brian tomorrow night because there's a 360 meeting. But I've just read in the chat that Brian will be doing Thursday evening. So make sure you come over and join Brian on Thursday evening. I don't know who's through the week because I can't keep up with everyone who's in the week. But other than that, I will see you next weekend. I'll see you next Friday, if not before. Have an amazing week and take care. Hope to see you soon. Take care and speak to you soon. Take care. Speak to you soon. And bye for now. Have a great week, guys. And thanks for coming over. Bye for now. Bye.
That's all, folks.